Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Amagati, your family life coach. Thank you so much for your support and for subscribing to my channel and the comments and the emails and the text messages I'm receiving. I just want to say thank you so much for your support. Today I'm here to talk about parenting styles. You know, this platform is dedicated to all things parenting and parenting, especially in a foreign culture. So today we're going to talk about the 3 parenting styles. Okay, so roll with me. So there are 3 main types of parenting, and sometimes you can kind of fall in between the spectrum, or sometimes you can be leaning more on one side depending on the situation, and then sometimes leaning on another. But there are 3 distinct types of parenting, and I want to share that with you today. So the first type of parenting is what we call the authoritative parenting. Now, the authoritative parenting is the kind of parenting that most experts promote, and based on just studies and research, people tend to lean towards. Experts suggest authoritative parenting. Now, let's break that down for you. So, what is authoritative parenting? Authoritative parenting means that you, as a parent, present yourself as the person in authority. You provide strict rules and guidelines for your child to follow. But after you've done that, you're also able to lean into your child's emotion, where you offer them opportunities to gain a certain level of independence and making decisions on their own, and almost leaning into their emotional needs as well. So that is the ideal type of parenting. And I wanted right off the bat to expose you to that type of parenting, because that's kind of where we all want to be, where you are able to set boundaries, set the rules, be strict when you need to be, but also lean into meeting your child's emotional needs as well. You know, kind of coming up with compromise and negotiation where your child's voice is heard in that relationship. Your child's emotions are taken into consideration in the situation as well. So that is authoritative parenting. Now let's go to the 2 extremes. So think of it as a straight line, and authoritative, what I just talked about, it's in the middle, and then there's one end of the spectrum and then the other extreme end. Okay, so on one hand is what we call permissive parenting. Okay, so as the name suggests, there's a lot of freedom within this parenting. So in this permissive parenting situation, parents tend to lean more on the being almost a friend to their child, and almost always worrying about how the child feels, and my little Johnny is not happy about this, my little Johnny is not eating, so let's do this, let's do that. It's all about the child, right? And almost to the point where we will call like excessive pampering of the child. So you're leaning more into the child and not, creating that balance as a parent. You become more of a friend to your child. So what are the negative sides of that? The first thing I can think about from just being a permissive parent means that your child is always into me, right? It's all about your child and nothing else. Another thing I can think about is that then it makes your child indecisive, because the child has almost always been overly protected to the point where they cannot make some decisions on their own, right? And so they are more self-absorbed, very indecisive in what they want to do or how they want to live their lives, because there's always been mommy or daddy there trying to guide them along and not giving them the chance to grow within themselves. They also have boundary issues. So there's never been rules that have been set up saying you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So they tend to not to know their boundaries. And so that affects relationships for them when they grow up, because they don't know when to stop, because no one has taught them these are your boundaries. So that is permissive parenting. On the other extreme is what we call authoritarian parenting. Now, authoritarian, as the name implies, means that you are a strict person. You are controlling what is said, what you say goes. The child has no voice. You do as I say, and that's it. And so in a relationship like that, that is when you hear statements like, but daddy, why? Or mommy, why? And the first thing you hear is, because I said so. That's it. The child has no voice. The child is completely controlled. They cannot do anything outside of what you want as a parent. You are strict, you're a disciplinarian. And it's interesting because coming from a collectivist world, remember we talked about collectivists in our last episode. We were talking about people who come from non-Western cultures tend to be authoritarian in their parenting. It's because we're coming from a culture where adults demand respect, and we almost applaud punishment. So there's a difference, and I'll do an episode. There's a difference between punishment and discipline. And so it's all punishment related. It's what I say. I am your elder. You dare not speak back when you talk to me. Your hands have to be behind your back. You dare not say a word. I am the parent. That is authoritarian parenting. So what is the downside to that? When you are an authoritarian parent, you do not allow your child to think for themselves. So when they're older, it affects their self-esteem because they don't think they have anything to present. I mean, think about it for a moment. If you were raised in very strict homes where what your parents say go, how they say it go, end of the discussion. You almost learn to minimize your voice and your opinion because it's what your parents say. And so when kids like that grow up, they have self-esteem problems because they can't think for themselves. Someone has to be in authority over them constantly, and someone else has to make the decision because they were not trained to make those independent decisions, right? And so today we want to end in the sweet middle spot, which is being authoritative, which is a bit of permissiveness and a bit of authoritarian mixed together to form what we call authoritative. So what does authoritative parenting look like? Authoritative parenting looks like, all right, these are the rules. These are your curfew. This is what we do. This is what we do. But I want to hear what you think about it, right? In authoritative parenting, a parent will apologize to a child if they mess up. They will get the child's opinion about maybe a trip they're about to take, where they want to eat, maybe when they go out or for dinner, what they want. The child's opinion matters. You give your child a voice, but you are not their friend, you're still their parent. You are able to switch between those two roles of hearing them and also being the authority figure in their home or in the home. So this is a short episode. I really wanted to come on and to give you these nuggets. I hope that you would take time to reflect upon yourself, reflect upon the parent that you are, and figure out whether you are either authoritarian, authoritative, or a permissive parent. All right. And I'm hoping that as we learn and as we grow together, that you would tend to move, hopefully, into the authoritative space where you are hearing your child, but also being that authority figure in the home. All right. So we will delve more as we talk more in parenting. All these little nuggets will all be coming together, and hopefully that we can make parenting easy for us. All right. So keep parenting. I know parenting in a foreign culture is really challenging. I know that you're dealing with culture. You're also dealing with being a parent and surviving in a culture that is different from your own. But remember, I am here for you. I am rooting for you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, in the comment box below, and I will read them and address them. There was a comment that came. Actually, let me spend the next few minutes addressing that real quick. There was a comment that came, I think, on my second or third episode where I was talking about knowing the terrain, and the parent was asking about just keeping some kind of routine so your child is not on the screen all the time. We're talking about screen time and how our children are spending too much time on the screen. And the parent said, well, as a mother, what do you do when you're tired and the child demands that you play with him the entire time? And my answer to that is establishing routine. And so if you haven't seen my answer in there, I'm just going to do a quick recap of what I texted in the comments in that particular episode. Routine helps because it gives your child structure. So what does that routine look like? So let's say it's a Saturday and you have a toddler at home or a little child at home. And usually that's when you get more exhausted because they are not independent and they're looking to you for play. You can set up a little timetable where maybe from 8 to 9 or 8 to 8:30 the child is eating breakfast, and then maybe there's a little bit of arts and craft or coloring or outdoor play, going down to the park or going outside to the backyard and play a little bit, come back, maybe do snack, watch a little bit of cartoons and then play a little more, go back to nap time. Establishing those routines, it's hard in the beginning because it means you have to be on top of it too. But once you have a schedule, and you train your child to follow that schedule, even at home, it makes your life easier. It makes the child entertained, keep the child going. Another thing I would suggest to you to avoid excess screen time is to bring friends over. So let your child go for a play date, go play with another child, or invite some children into your home and let them play. As long as they have that interaction with other children, they will not spend as much time on the screens. The screen is because they're bored and they're looking for something to do, and that's the go-to thing because we parents prefer the screen. Just keeping them entertained is babysitting, free babysitting, right? And so I hope that these tips help you as well, especially if you have young children. Also letting them go to sleep early. I would do an episode on sleep time and how much sleep is adequate for each child. And I don't see why a 5-6-year-old should be up past 8:30 any night. So the child goes to sleep, give them the full night's rest, and then you have the evening to yourself as well. So hopefully these tips help. Again, I am Amagati, your family life coach. I am here for you. Please like, subscribe, and share. Let your friends know that I am doing this. All right. I appreciate you. Until next time. Bye-bye.